Good morning, class. Welcome to Homeroom with Unc and Market Monk. Morning, P. How's your week?
Good. Just a lot of follow through on some things I was holding. Smalls just continue to be pretty good, and just been kind of reading the same stuff over and over. A lot of it's just range bound, but acts pretty well off pivots. MSTR, LLY, come to mind, and then yeah, some bigger stuff I got a while back just continues to
Hmm.
do well. John Deere mentioned on that one,
Yeah,
just
I missed that.
really, really strong, and the whole, I mean, all the Dow stocks, kind of the same chart as far as that goes. Cat and a couple others. So yeah, really, really happy with that. I'm glad to see earnings back, and just paying pretty close attention to the moves there.
Yeah, nice. Kind of away from actual time and sales this week, pretty much the whole week, and not a lot of charts. Until you miss the chart during the day. Um, it's definitely not a minute candle when you're just looking at the end of the day, kind of replay at charts. And for
Yeah,
me, I spent a lot more of my time when I had time, just reviewing like my notes over the last, let's say, 6 months. I mean, I don't know, I'm pretty sure but I don't know if everyone knows. But like when we're done with homeroom and when we're done with our voice session, I rewatch those every week. It's good information,
yeah,
and it's hard for me to take notes and be 100% here, so I watch it every week. And um, being critical of your notes, if you've done good or bad, there's a reason, and you usually find it in your the work you did before. That's kind of, if I use a football analogy, you don't run the same play over and over again if you don't get good results. So, spending time with that last week, and man, you said it the best. Like those ones we've been sitting in have been, they just kind of keep grinding up. And then um, when I knew the rotation was coming, I kind of told everyone to size down a little bit. Well, for me, when I'm when I'm not buying a full position, I'm not necessarily, since I'm down from 1,000, say, to 100 shares, I'm not necessarily buying 10 things at 100 shares to make sure the money's in the market. But instead of buying one position, two or three do come up in that smaller setup. And um, man, hymns, just trade hymns worked
yeah,
out real good for me. All the nuclear shit that you brought up, the
yeah,
SMR,
yeah.
the NNE, I mean, everything, man, just wake up to 20%. I'm okay with that, especially when I'm not really doing any work. I already did the work, but it feels real good when you don't do the work and money shows up that week. So um, I do think the thesis has changed a little bit from where we were at. But I do 100% think that rotation I talked about when I was asking, are we going to have some pullback throughout this first part of the year or a rotation? I think that rotation is done, and with good things to come here so far.
Yeah, absolutely, and I'm still. I mean, there's a reason I'm staying on things like solar, um, and I just talked about these things that we park and wait and show patience. It's the patience now is going to pay off 3 months from now. That's kind of the idea
Yeah.
there. And then something like Run, where you get it under $10, it's going to pop over 10, and it's just you can't really time that move to 12, 14, and beyond. But the flow setup is there, for it to happen anytime in the next 6 months or so. So I'm fine with kind of moving in and out of those, and um, same with First Solar and Phase, and some of the other smalls. I mean, that one's it's a big part of this whole overall energy thesis I have. They're not all going to move at once, and you get a couple weeks of the uranium stuff. Oil, I think, probably will end up being the most consistent. I also, you know, look at coal. We're going to talk about that next session. So,
There's
so
there's
I think
coal there's
those.
coal stocks. There's some coal
Yeah,
stocks.
yeah,
Oh,
right.
damn.
Yeah, so those will stay active.
Nice, nice. I um I really think just a big picture thing. I want to, when you think about it all week, I kind of got out there different. I went to the bluest of blue states, and it ain't what you see online. I'm gonna tell you that right now. Maybe it was the area I was in, but it's not what the attitude out there is not what you see online or in the news.
Yeah,
You better believe that. And um, I was in an area with a little bit of money. I'm just gonna say that it wasn't a there's not a lot of poor people out there where I was at. Um, and I really think that minimum 6 to 8 weeks. It might be. I'm leaning on the side of 6 to 8 months that Trump's just going to run his mouth and everyone's going to love it and be optimistic that he's actually going to get stuff done. Of course, we know at some point in time, the results have to come out. But short term,
yeah,
the more that man talks, the more volatility we're going to get. When you talk about the energy sector, looking for I want the bigger divergences. So I understand that how you say these should be stronger. Um, but something's got a lot to get back, and I like safe entries, bottoms. So
yeah.
I'm looking forward to that combination with you, as you get the to be honest, probably the more safer plays in that environment, and I get to find a little bit more of the risk reward stuff. So I'm whether it's 6 to 8 weeks, I'm gonna take advantage of it because I know I'm in it now. But I'm hoping it's gonna be 6 to 8 months.
Um, well, yeah, and I think the way it starts to work in these sectors, quantum computing was a really good example of this, where you've got the companies that are in that and have a quantum computer, and you can go log into it on the Amazon cloud and all that stuff, and then you have the consultants with the good ticker name that are riskier, but just give you the insane range. And
Hey, and then you have Unk's ticker that doesn't even do quantum computing, but still gave us 30%.
yeah, right, exactly, yeah,
That
yeah, and
That
so you
QI
see,
came through for me this week. There's another one. Just to even mention that. I
yeah,
mean, it's another one that just, yeah. I mean, you have to know your environment you're in.
oh yeah, absolutely. And on a kind of related field, I don't know how closely you followed the AI news out of China. They released this open source um, platform, DeepSeek is what it's called, and it rivals the performance of OpenAI. The numbers coming out of China for how much it costs are in the millions instead of the billions. And you know we just had our Stargate announcement, 500 billion, whatever. So how much you trust numbers out of China, I mean, it's kind of up to you. I wouldn't trust it a lot, but the thing is, I like about this is I think it's going to shake up that sector a bit and create some overreactions. Not just this news, but as a kind of continual thing, and we can see some levels tested on some AI related stocks that are difficult to enter up here. So I'm really going to be looking at that pretty closely over the next couple weeks as well.
Yeah, those are always hard for me. I'm a, me first in, first out type of guy, and
Yeah,
especially when you nail it. And I mean, the way we played AI over what's been almost a year now, just amazing for me. And I mean, it might be a whole holdback to me from being perfect, but it's always been a good a risk deterrent for me. Is I like in the AI. I'm waiting for bad news for AI, right? I really am. I'm waiting
yeah,
for like someone to be using it and not anything happen to any people, but like lights go out for a week or something. I don't know, somewhere. Or our business like completely loses every single data asset they had, or something, just something like that. Because that's the pullback I always look for. Um,
yeah,
but
yeah.
we've seen it
The
with
crowd, the crowd strike moment.
yes. So I'm
Yeah,
kind of like
yeah,
that's kind of like my where my ears will perk up there. Um, but yeah, you get 6 8 candles and a lot of good news on a level, and I'm definitely back into that. I did buy Mara at 17, so anything is possible.
yeah, yeah. On crypto, the yeah. So a couple of things here that uh, Bitcoin has been doing really well. A lot of what I said about the space has kind of been playing out. The stagnant altcoins, and I think people. I shared a chart in our room about these meme these meme coins or shit coins or whatever, and the insane number of them, pushing 40 million new ones a month, and that number used to be
Excuse me.
like two or almost nothing. I mean, it came from nothing in
Sure.
2021. But
Yeah.
the point is that like, so you have this constant influx of these memes, and then you have Binance and Coinbase and Hood and all them listing those. There isn't enough money coming into that space to match the volume of new coins that come out. So the ones that take off, they don't sustain anything. And a big thing on Twitter is to try to look at, well, where should we rebuy this stuff that collapsed? And they're talking about ones based on a squirrel the government killed before the election or whatever. And it's just like none of that shit is where you want to be. I don't think. I just think the basics of what I understand about volume and stocks, you apply that to this space. You can't have just hundreds of thousands of new coins come in a day with the amount of money in that space. It just seems like it's just built to just kind of suck money out of retail. Now we don't trade that stuff, and it's kind of peripheral to us. But I do have some um, concerns or interest in the idea that it's going to erode confidence in crypto. The government switching from Bitcoin reserve to crypto asset reserve, in my view, is not a very smart idea. When you start adding coins that they can just print out of nowhere, takes the whole advantage of Bitcoin out. When the supply of Bitcoin that's ever going to happen, and you just pick these coins where they just mint them out of thin air. So all of that's pretty dicey to me, and I still think if we're going to hop back into crypto as a sector, I don't think it's going to come out of the consolidation up here at 102 to 105. I think you got to get some bad news, some sustained bad news, pull way back, and then we see what holds up. Otherwise, I just keep saying it's a scalp look, and that's kind of where I am on the space. I think you're similar, and you maybe even are less likely to jump back into a lot of those than I am. I think we talked about that last week.
Is Austin Eckler over 24 receiving yards today?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
what about Zach Ertz anytime touchdown? I mean, if we're talking about bullshit, let's talk about all the bullshit. What happened to those? Twitter people?
Exactly.
What happened to those Twitter people?
Right.
But for real, like, so I don't know if y'all remember way back in the day, like 2 years ago, but Bitcoin. Well, maybe shit. It's probably 3 or 4 years ago. I'm sorry, my math's off a little bit. I just got home. But Bitcoin made this huge run to 72K. Y'all remember that? Y'all remember that? It was big. It was massive. It was massive. Like, people were like, holy shit. This thing's never been over, like, I think it was like 15 or 16 at the time. But it ran forever. And, life was great in crypto. And then these things called NFTs came out. And you, like, bought this little fucking pixel picture for, like, 400K. Well, you fast forward today and tell me what is different from Bitcoin hitting 100K or how it's ran this last, let's say, 6 months, and just the oversaturation of, I guess, other coins. How are those not different than those NFTs, man? How are they not? How do you guys not see that as anything else?
And crypto people love to talk about cycles. Well, here's your cycle, and we kind of know what comes next. So
you got to rename your snake oil. You just do.
Right.
You just got to rename your snake oil, and that's all it is. And for me, it's sad to watch. Another thing I seen over the week, because that's always a question when you're chopping it up with people about money, and they understand that you know more about them, which that was eye opening. That like a lot of the guys with money on the sidelines now, there's 100K. It's like the 100 psych. Now is it worth it? Like, there's a lot of people asking if it's worth it. So I think crypto isn't got enough of the real money in there yet to do the actual rug pull. But these coins aren't a part of that. And I think they're actually a negative because they're not, lack of better terms, stable.
Uh,
The,
yeah.
whether it come, I mean, if you guys are good and you have more time on the weekend and you know how to scalp that shit, cool. I'm cool with it. But don't ask me for no levels or charts or anything like that. Where you left off, it's always the same. P. I mean, maybe there's an extra check or two, but if it's on a level, we got our ones that are on our levels. I'll buy it there, but I am not doing anything more than taking a percent in that sector. It just is what
Yeah.
it is. And I think I said it last time we had this conversation. My time that I have available and my attention span and my my capacity to think about things, it's a C or a D at best right now with what's going on in the market.
Yeah, right. And that's where I think the big consensus is that this moment in crypto is the beginning of something, and not the end of of something, of a chapter, right? Um, and I don't know. I'm pretty good about reading stories.
Yes.
Studied how to do that for a long time, and we're closer to the end of a chapter than the beginning of one. I'll just go ahead and say that. So
Well,
I'm with you
what
on.
they could, I mean, they could just pass a rule, not even really like a ban or anything, but they could just pass a rule that like you have to somehow insure it or show some backing for these coins, and most of them, 95% of them, are gone that day. I
Yeah,
mean, that would be and Trump, that could be a Trump leverage thing, to be honest with you. If you hate the guy, I mean, and you think he's the Doctor Evil, well, why didn't you come in, make a coin, pass a rule that only your coin can exist?
right.
You
Yeah,
know, I
no, I
mean,
know.
why wouldn't you do that?
Yeah.
So
Um,
I like the story, like you said, but when this you have to wait for the good chapter in the story to make it the main thing you focus on.
yes, and I think you can't go into it like the people who maybe missed the move that we caught, or didn't get enough of the move that we caught it of, that they wanted, and then trying to force it up here, is not a good thing to do either.
I have Mara up on the screen, Pete, and I have a Professor Purple line at 656. I don't erase my shit. My original
Yeah,
channel was 10 and 17. That's I mean that's from way back before most of these kids fucking traded. You were talking about it at like $3, and I was arguing with you that hey, we got to hit this level and like confirm it. And we did about two
right.
weeks later after you started talking about it, and it just stuck there. But we went 5x from there. Y'all are fucking
Yeah,
late.
yeah,
I'm
yeah, yeah,
I'm
yeah,
done.
yeah. Gotcha.
Um,
The go ahead. Yeah,
are you, I hope you got something boring. That's all I'm going to say.
I do, I
You
do.
changed me.
Yeah.
You changed me, sir.
Yeah. So the as far as boring goes, I want to start with copper because I really liked number one. I always like to get through earnings on copper and
Yes.
aluminum. Their earnings themselves don't really interest me that much, other than you can often catch, a decent after hours red candle and recover quickly. But a lot of those I'm just in them, and well below this. But the way that copper is hanging out above 425 is
Can you
a
pull
pretty
that
good
chart?
sign to
Can you
me.
pull that chart up, P?
I got it up. Oh, let me do my sharing thing. Right, so let me get over here. Get to futures copper.
Perfect.
So yeah, this little dip it took kind of corresponded, I think, with FCX earnings, and then little little bounce there. Given so the chart's in decent shape, and then when I match that with the flow in FCX and SCCO, and then the aluminum stocks, this is healthy to me, and I think we could see a run back up to those highs in the 460, 475, something like that. So so I really like copper. I think that's a good place to be. Some pretty cheap swings there. So so that's a sector I'm liking at the moment.
I don't see many sectors on the boring stuff as in a bad place, to be honest. I mean,
Yeah.
there's really
No.
not
Right.
much. Um,
Uh, yeah. I mean, natural gas. That's a pretty steady climb from the lows. So uh, same kind of thing. And these drops it does aren't really anything. That's just that's so normal for this to do that, which is why I say to be careful about the leveraged ETFs. You catch one of these 4 hour candles down, you're gonna have a pretty bad day. But depending on your entry, you either just weather that or um, you know move in and out, whatever. But a lot of the combo stocks still, I think, are um, where you want to be as far as that goes. Still
um,
think we get to 5 to 7 area there.
well, you just answered my damn question, darn it. So I was going to say, do you think that this is going to go closer to seven? So
Yeah,
yes,
yeah,
that was a yes.
yes, I do.
Okay, so when it goes closer to seven, here's the caveat to the story. Is that because we're going to cut off some of the supply that we've been shipping to fucking Europe that nobody knows about?
Well, I think that could be the cause. I personally think closer to $7 is the real price of natural
Oh, okay.
gas.
That would be better for the stocks. That we continue to
Yes.
sell the flow like we have been. People actually find out about it and stay in those combo plays. Perfect. Darn
Yeah.
it. Brain
And
emoji. Brain emoji.
yeah. And then here I'll go to oil. Um, yeah, not really worried about any, rejection at 80 sort of makes
Sense.
sense. I think we just maybe live here for a while. Um, bounce off 72 would be nice if it falls further back. But all the stocks, I don't know. They're still just set up really well. And I mean, my time frame for a lot of oil stocks is September now. So that'll be something that we talk about. So that's going to carry us through the summer, and it just kind of looks like spring and summer are lining up pretty well. I think you want to be a little bit picky about like what type of oil stock is this, because while the whole sector, looks pretty good, you want the 15 to 20% move instead of the 3 to 5% consolidation. I think you're going to be in drilling and tankers and some midstream stuff and pipelines, like those kind of names. And I a lot of the familiar ones are Oxy and um, Devon, a couple others, but yeah. So I think you want to be selective. Just throw a dart in an oil stock, um, and that's where the preparation will
And,
help you, I think.
and that, hey, let me know because that's what I'm doing. So let me know. Full
Yeah.
disclosure here. So I think you're better. I'm the longer term there with you. So I'm glad you said September because it's basically just buy on levels and hold. But I'm for the big oil names, like the names you see at the gas station names, those ones,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
there's gonna be not that they're all gonna win, but you're gonna get if you buy two or three of those and then two or three of the other like ones you're talking about your oxys and your rigs and whatnot. um,
Yeah.
those big names, the worst case you're gonna do is be where you're at in 6-8 months and there's probably gonna be a winner in there somewhere along the line, like a really good you're gonna get a 20 or 30% move on a stock that they're just safer stock. So I'm a little bit bigger in those ones because again they're 10 out of 10 names on the street, and I think someone's got to win on that side, in this current administration's ideas.
Uh, yeah, no, I think so. And I mean, while we're talking about ones with a gas station, I'm thinking of one a little smaller. They have gas stations, and they put a big dinosaur out the front.
Yeah, that's the one.
Um,
I like that one.
yeah, so yeah, I'm with you there, and I think at some point we'll sort of break down um, where gasoline fits within the whole oil picture. we might have an energy, one of those midweek sessions
Oh,
sometime, and
perfect. No, let's go.
that'd be good. Good to talk about. And then see what else I want to talk about here.
Well, while we're
Yeah,
while you're
gold and
look while
silver.
you're looking, I mean, I said it at the beginning of the year. I'm buying the XOM at 100. Just is what it is. If it's gonna keep offering it, I'll take it. And then when it's just set an alert, and it's just easy peasy for me. And
Um,
I think
oh
that
yeah,
one's
I
a
mean,
$120 stock. So I mean, 20% in a name like that. All right.
yeah, the flow continually that 120C
Yeah.
for
I mean,
September. I mean, yeah,
I
yeah,
got to be an
definitely.
adult sometime, P.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Uh, silver,
Yes.
silver's still good. Gold is done exceptionally well. A lot of the miners are lagging behind in gold. I kind of think they might maybe continue to do that. So I still like the silver stocks a little better. And the one of the best ways to handle that is looking at those companies that do both. Um, there's you know big gold companies that acquired small silver mines,
Mm-hmm.
and then you get a piece of both of that. So so I'm still liking that. And in the end, I mean, I said that I thought gold was going to have a better year than Bitcoin. That was one of my
Yes.
big predictions.
Yes, it was.
Um, and I still think that it's it's had a better month than Bitcoin. So you know,
That's a good
one
start.
that's 1 month out of 12. So we'll see what happens. But I just think, like, to me, if any kind of loss of confidence in the banking system or protection or whatever, gold is still the big winner there, and Bitcoin remains kind of speculative. Um, so I just think that's gonna
It, it,
continue. Plus all the FUD and contagions and whatever within Bitcoin and crypto that you know I think it get worse. I just going back to that one more time, like, it's not, to me, it's not a good sign when Coinbase comes out and says that, well, we're just trying to figure out a way to get more of these meme coins listed here,
mm-hmm.
and that's all just like, it just seems like exit liquidity. Like, so they're just trying to, like, the easier that stuff gets to buy, um, it's kind of a double edged sword. That, yeah, it's great that you can just call up your app and buy crypto assets, and the simplicity of it, but that's also access to a lot of liquidity that can be used the other way. And
Yeah.
so it's just not really where you want to be. If you buy gold, uh, I like gold stocks a lot. I still think, if you actually want, I don't like the gold ETFs. I don't like paper gold. I think you might as well just buy the stuff. Just go ahead and buy some gold. Even if you don't hold it yourself, they can store it somewhere for you. I'm still just sort of old fashioned and in that way. But for what we do, a lot of easy reads here, um, safe, and you can get a pretty smooth 15-20% move over 3 months. Whereas if you trade MSTR, which I do, um, you're looking at, you got to think both sides. You have to, jump in and out. It might bounce off 370 and go to 390, and then it's 350 2 days later. Uh, Gold stocks aren't going to do that to you. So I still am pretty big on that sector.
You covered some of that. Goal the I am. I'm usually like pretty dramatically like no at first, but we get 5 6 candles on a level. I'll change my mind real quick. I'll change my mind before
Yeah,
anybody else because I want to be first. Um, Gold stocks are setting up a lot better than I said about a month ago. I was like, let these bleed out. Even talked about like ego had more room than down, but we get some consolidation on a level or at an actual level for 5 6 candles. My mind always changes, and I think we're seeing that in the gold charts, at least the ones that I'm
yeah,
buying currently. And then the silver, probably a little bit more range on entry currently for me. So it's not that they're the ones that are making you money right now from any kind of perspective, but they're the ones you should be buying right now on kind of like a treated as a bill stock, and pick a handful of those, which I'm doing, and so far I love everything I'm seeing over there. Um, I will be 100% wrong, and you will be 100% right if these kids ever figure out or make a transition that, oh shit, this digital gold I'm losing money in. Why don't I just buy real gold? Like they just got to scribble out
Yeah.
one word, and if they make that transition, then flat brain motherfuckers, excuse my language, um, good night to the gold futures, and
Right.
they would feel, well, give them that feel like we're squeezing something. It really would.
Yeah.
So they think they control the world, and it would give them that euphoria. Last point for you that I didn't want to go back to it, but I got to mention it just because it seems like the elephant in the room we're not talking about here. But um, Schwab, Fidelity, whoever, IBRK, whoever you trade through, like they make money off of transactions, like micro pennies off transactions. They want a lot of transactions, like in the billions a day, so they can make millions a day. Coinbase ain't no
Yeah.
different. They need all the coins they can
Right.
get so they can have transactions. That's it. It's
Yep.
that simple. I mean, that's how they make money. You guys aren't paying them $29.99 a month. They only make money when you trade shit. That's it. That's what keeps the revenue coming in. If you guys stop clicking buttons, they stop making money. So how can I get you to click more fucking buttons? So I get why Coinbase is pro it, um, because they're not an actual exchange. But um, yeah, just again something that it looks sexy, but man, stick with the boring. And I think your gold read is becoming clearer than when you were the guy on the street with the sign that said gold to 5,000. um,
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Right.
um, so, but yeah, buy some gold, people, before everyone else does.
Yep. And yeah. Last thing for me, we get into spy. I posted something the other day about options and how much retail traders lose on that, and
Yeah.
the numbers. They lost approximately 3 billion on option investments during a sample window. And then there's not a lot of details about what's the sample window and like whatever. But the more interesting thing to me is that the behaviors of retail option traders result in losses of 5 to 9% on average, and a lot of individuals lose a hell of a lot more than 5 to 9%. And you see that
Oh,
on
sure.
on Twitter every day. But that's just where it ends up. And one of the big places that they lose is in something that I talk about, which is the options, like the spreads for one thing, and then so even if the market maker is making $1 or $2 off of you just based on that spread, they're already sort of ahead. And then the way that the prices are overinflated early in the day, and then the traders themselves, the way the article characterized it, they're slow to respond to the price decay. And I would say the reason they're slow to respond, it's not like they're not seeing it. It's just they still got that hopium of, I bought this contract, I got to hold on to it. And if the price turns around to this number, I'm going to make this much, and this number I'm going to make this much, and I'm only losing. I'm down $20. Who cares? And they just keep doing that over and over and over again. So that little article I shared, I mean, that just outlined, number one, just how dangerous options are, but also it summarized a lot of the pitfalls that I talk about avoiding. And if you are going to trade them, you're at a disadvantage to me, regardless, no matter how good you are. But are you stepping to the plate with an 0-1 count or an 0-2 count? And most retail traders, the second they buy that thing, they're down 0-2, and then they're trying to swing for the fences, and everything's just kind of going against them. So understanding that is important, and protecting yourself from that by buying shares is really the first place I would go. And then just keep it small if you're going to do options, no matter what small for any individual is depends, but I don't think you can make it your be all end all. There's just too much stacked against you to do that.
Man, I really got to write down all my good ones, but I'm gonna go circa maybe 2021 Unk. It might even been in that other room we was in when we met each other. But
Yeah.
if you make it, you're gonna end up being a swing trader.
Right. Right.
That's just what it is. That's just what it is.
Yeah.
Through the years, I know, maybe not, I mean, not from you, but from people in general, I've been um, discarded because my refusal to trade options or even consider it. And I'm coming out smelling like roses. And time I'm gonna win that fight in time. And there's a reason I'm here, and the reason I think about options the way I do. And if you take another thing I say all the time about myself and what I try to really ingrain into people is I want to be first in and first out. Like that's really what I want to be. It's just easier. It's cleaner. It's less stressful. I can sleep at night. Feel like I'm ahead. With the option game, first in is the one that sells it. I would think, right? That's who's first.
Yeah. Yeah.
I said it. I've said it more than I can count. Maybe not recently. The only traders I know that are $1 million traders that trade options sell them. They sell them.
Right.
That's it. So y'all take that what it's worth from the cheap seats over here because I'm not an option trader. I don't know what I'm talking about. Last thing I want to say is when down there at the bar, after a couple rounds, I don't drink, but buddies do. So Uncle just fucking up them appetizers. You know how I am with the food. Yeah, I get in some conversations with some old heads. Most of these guys, they're a few years older than me. They definitely got a few more shekels than me. And we're talking, and they just see the look on their face, like this guy knows what he's talking about. And that's like the top 3 questions they always ask. You trade crypto, you trade options, and what do you think about this fucking stock I got my dick in that I love? That's it.
Yeah.
It's the same 3 fucking questions you get from everybody. And they are floored to hear a young man say, crypto shit, you're an asshole if you trade options, and 50-50 on whatever. The Palantir guy that bought it at 9, he was cool. The SMR guy, that was asking if he should sell was cool. But yeah, it is what it is, bro. That ain't gonna change. I mean, it's a hill I'll die on, but I'm gonna die on it because if I don't die on it, your account's gonna die in the market.
Yeah.
Long-winded.
Right. No, and I think I still think, I mean, options are a hell of a lot more useful for reading what the underlying is going to do than they are for actually trading. Because like I said, if you just use the flow I post just to trade with, and it's
Yes.
anything closer than 6 months, right? And you're buying the contracts, and that's all that you're doing. You're going to fall into that cycle I talk about where you keep starting over, and
Yeah.
you don't have free shares, the I don't give a crap position, which is where I like to be with every one of these sector moves. With what I had left in quantum, I 100% did not care that they dropped 40% in a couple days. It didn't matter. It didn't phase me at all, because it's like 1/10 of what I bought in those things, and just my feeling about the sector and sort of the next phases of it, and what IBM and Honeywell didn't drop 40%, and they've been a big part of my look in that sector too. So anyway, that has just been much better than that first move in crypto for me personally, where I did have options. Some of them were MSTR. Some of them did exceptionally well, but obviously couldn't keep those. And I just look back and it's like, well, how much better off would I have been if that money, you're talking MSTR pre-split, like, $17 is like the pre-split amount on that. How much better would I have been $17 to $350 now? with just keeping 300 shares of that
Oh,
and then selling.
the Thea and time decay would have killed you.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So, so yeah, I mean, so as a it's just kind of a part of my evolution personally, and just something I
Yeah.
encourage people about. And I'll still cover options, and I still trade them, and
Well, you're gonna
I
have
think
to
we can do
because it's
that.
useful for sure.
Yeah,
The thing about it, the elephant, or not elephant in the room, but the unsaid thing that I'm really trying to get through people to avoid, and I'll just be blunt about it, I've always been weary that option traders are gonna have this fucking skittishness of putting money in the market because 500 to 800 bucks is like a lot for people, especially in an options trade, to lose. How the hell are you going to take a good read on a safe stock and put 10 or 20K in it? You know, and
yeah,
then and if you can't do that, you're not going to make 5 or 10 grand on the move that we get off our reads. Like that's, I mean,
right, right.
that's not going to happen. And then you really don't even want to put 2K in it, so you can't make 500 bucks off of it. And then the money you want to put into it, which is only 800 bucks, you're only making like 120 bucks, and that's just not a fucking appealing to you. So you do the other riskier shit because you need the end to be a certain thing without risking too much in the beginning, and just fucks your mind up. Like you have to be able to. You're just learning bad skills over there. You really are. You really are. And
Yeah,
you need to
right.
have a little more trust and a little more patience and a little more realistic goals, and it will compound. I just remember Viperfish and Goose in that shitty market both having like $20 share accounts and quadrupling them. In like a couple months, and they're
Yeah,
like, oh well, shit, this works. Um,
right.
on the flip side of it, shout out to our boy Secondary. He's the only one that I know that has picked up from you and a little bit of me, but mostly you. That look, I can trade this. Look, my cup's full. Ha ha! Fuck you, market guys. And he's out.
Yeah,
He
yeah,
just takes his money and he's out. He does no emotion. He understands he can repeat it. And I mean, if you can do that and it works for you and you can see it clearly, that's fine. But like you've said, a pound in the table, starting over every day. If that's how you feel it is, get out, trade some shares because it's not going to end well for you.
yep,
Um,
yeah. Because all it takes is one bad day, and you're just back to you know
yeah,
people wipe out 3 weeks of gains in a morning in the option world. So
yeah. One
um,
bad day leads to one
see
bad
that.
mindset, leads to one
Yeah,
bad trading experience, and you'll never come back.
yeah,
Hey, couple before we get into spy, a couple news notes I want to run by you. We can be quick with it, but I got to hear what you say, and you know me, I don't like
yeah.
typing, so um, all kind of around Trump. Obviously, we got that big nuclear stuff going, but clean energy mentioned is overfunded, like not worth it. And I know mostly it's the windmills, no wind, the wind isn't cheap,
Yeah,
that kind of stuff.
right, right.
But clean energy FUD going around. I wonder what you think about that. If you caught wind of that, your opinion on that in general.
Well, I think that a lot of the stocks have priced in that bad news already. So
Okay,
I don't
okay,
know that
let's go.
how much further they can fall. I've talked about I'll just say Enphase remains maybe the most bearish solar chart. Um, much as it pains me to say that, but I mean that could certainly fall into the 40s or something like that. I just think that the trade there is not that this administration is going to flip positive on green energy, but that it's just things aren't going to be as bad as they think, and that a lot of the stocks as earnings come out, uh, the fundamentals start to make sense, and they sort of evolve into into that kind of trade. But yeah, I mean, there's nothing that's going to carry. Like Enphase isn't going to $270. Solar Edge is not going to hit my line, and I think it's like 120 or something like that. But I still think there's a lot of opportunity in that stuff, regardless of the FUD there.
Perfect. And the second one on the more on the pro side, but kind of he had. I mean, he fucker says a lot. Kind of deciphering what will move the market is a lot harder than when you have a Joe Biden who just says one fucking thing
Yeah,
that you can understand. Um, real estate. his demands to you need to lower these fucking interest rates now. Um, I think real estate would be the most affected positively in that environment. I mean, banks have done well, so like it doesn't they just figure it out. But real estate, I really think if you know you get a whole percent cut on rates and maybe some more strongly worded letters to the lenders that we could not stay at these levels as long as anticipated.
Yes. And I think we know the names there. And I'm actually, I've seen you ever see the tweets where they say, well, if you put $10,000 in
Yeah,
open
yeah,
at its all time high, you'd have
you're
this much money left.
yeah.
Well, that's not really how anyone trades open or anyone. I mean, that's that's stupid. But I'm more interested in kind of where's the retrace, and for a lot of those,
Yes,
there's a retrace there to where we just were not that long ago
100%.
before they kick the can down the road, like I talk about, and then it's the follow through
Hmm.
after that. And I do think that a more favorable environment and Trump making that a priority like that's where you'll see that follow through. So that's definitely a flow look that I'm after. But I think a lot of those names and everyone listening who's in the room knows what they are. It's a pretty good time to start to build something there before even you want to be first. It's this kind of anticipatory flow. It's like I know the strikes are going to be, and I know when I'm probably going to see them. So I'll go ahead and buy some of those now, but just because we've done this trade so many times, I sort of trust that initial move and don't even need the follow through, but think we probably will get it.
Yeah, I got full disclosure. My son's buying the Professor $12 one currently.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
what else do you need to know? um,
right, right.
hop into spy a little bit. I don't know what
Oh,
the hell we said last.
follow,
Go ahead. Go ahead. Go
I
ahead.
do have a follow up on real estate real
Yeah, go
quick.
ahead.
So when I look around in like Oklahoma City, and I think a lot of places have these areas, you just got these like these rows and rows of apartment complexes, right, along minor highways, usually, like commute to the cities, easy, whatever.
Yep.
But a lot of people that live in those aren't necessarily documented, and I kind of
Ooh,
wonder
ooh,
about
good call.
the the perception of the occupancy of those, and I know the stocks that own those kind of buildings. So I mean, this is kind of an early thesis, but it's one that it always this is how it starts with me. It's like I wonder, and then I look into it, and then I find something, and then there's a trade. So that's sort of just an early preview of something that I'm looking at and looking into. And there's other kinds of immigration related stuff. And ultimately, like from a human perspective, there's a lot of that's really sad that happens, right?
Sure,
But I think
sure.
that at the same time, we have a job to do, and we look at what's moving, and so there's a lot that can get shaken up with a big policy shift like that. So that's one area I certainly look at.
Hey, I do want to bounce off of that. Just again, our conversation. Me and you could talk for hours. I'm assuming,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I I am from the wrong side of the tracks, and I do know somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody in those apartments. That's for sure. Uh, out
Yeah.
here, out here though, we usually have a waiting list for those kind of apartments. Just in general,
Mhm.
maybe not currently, but in general. The reason is Section 8, HUD, all that stuff
Oh yeah,
comes and
yeah.
apply. That's that government funding. That I
Right.
think is just as crucial because if those guys move out and the government still will pay someone's rent, they're just going to get filled. I'm not with you in that,
Yeah,
but if
yeah.
we take away that money, game over.
Right.
Game over for those people. So I just wanted to plant that seed in your head.
Yeah, no, I that's a good angle too. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's a lot of fun. There's no real pros or positives for those guys except for low. The best thing for those kind of industries is low unemployment, I would assume. So because then people are working and can
Yeah,
pay rent. So
absolutely. Yep.
let's talk spy. I forgot what we were saying or how we were actually doing it. I know we talked about the big coverage candle having range. We checked out. For me, P, we went from, I don't know where I said it, maybe October. I said, give yourself some time. Just shut up, people. Just hold some damn stocks for a
Yeah,
little
yeah.
bit. Just shut up and hold some stocks. And the first of the year, I mean, it's probably what I do every year. You've hung out with me long enough. I say, hey, we're gonna pull back. I expect some sellers. We came to the more of the rotation. Told people to kind of, not necessarily 10% what you're doing, but cut your sizing down here for a little bit. Hang out, see what things are doing. I am 100%. We are now on time, round two. We're just going to continue this. Bull markets last for years, years and years and
Yeah.
years and years. I'm 6 weeks to 8 weeks on the Trump effect, or 6 months, 8 months if he does it right, of him just making everything sound fucking peaches and cream. And last thing I want to add on the TA things I'm seeing, I don't know if you've caught it, but man, go look at like Fridays the last month. Go look at like your favorite stocks on Friday the last month.
Mhm.
Fridays have been ripping again. Just rip. I mean, you wake up at pre-market gap up, and then you get another. Not necessarily for every play, but if a play gets going on a Friday, it's game over lately. So that's just all bullish things that I look for. That continuation in bullshit plays, um, and and yeah, just not a lot of sellers out there.
Yeah, and there's not a lot in the like open interest isn't really telling you much. A lot of this is just dead OI. You'll see some come off the books this week. This, something like you know March 510 heavily sold. So what this means, they're repositioning this somewhere, and I guess this week I'll be able to see where exactly they are.
Okay.
But that's too far to the money and too close. So they're going to probably punt that to June, I would think.
I'm still the
And
mindset though, P, that this is gonna like I really again I was talking to some old heads down there. They put me on the spot, but I think like 640s are top, and like we get pullback. I'm talking on the whole year, and we get
yeah, yeah,
pullback from that at some point. But that pullback, it's not gonna be super far down. But the winners, if you want your 20 to 30%, it's going to be in the Kathy Woods Revenge Tour and the Russell, maybe even the QQQ a little bit.
yeah.
I think I just still really see that, but Spy's looking better. It's just looking better. So hopefully that doesn't mean I'm wrong. It just means my stuff will be even better.
Right, right, yeah. No, I'm with you. Yeah, I don't have much. I don't have much downside.
like
It's
like a good question for you. Where does safe money go right now? Where I mean, if you're just protecting your neck and you got 3 million, where are you going right now?
uh, well, the first answer was banks, and I
Okay,
think we did see that.
okay,
And I still, I think there's some good value in healthcare, and I think you'll
yeah,
see
yeah,
staples. So I just think they're gonna
but
spread this out, and
but
and
not S
the
and P names, not S&P names for the most part.
right, yeah, no, I think so. The you know earnings, obviously, like Netflix hit a home run,
Yeah,
and sometimes that's a pretty good barometer of what we'll see in some of the other ones. It's sort of difficult. Like if you call up like AVGO, that was one of my biggest winners, like period. Um, this can break that 250 and just keep going
hmm,
very easily. It becomes kind of hard to enter when it does that. My line on this thing was $122. So and that wasn't even my lowest line on it. And so it's just like it's just gone. And so semiconductors, those names are hard to trade. So I prefer, we're going to talk about entering something, the kind of the JV team, and a lot of the B plus names in a number of sectors. Some of those took off and are way gone, like Twillo. But I then look at, well, like, who else is set up like this, and we're going to talk about
yes,
that in the next session.
yes, yes.
And so that's kind of where I want to be, because risk reward for AVGO from here I don't I don't know a top on it. I mean, 270 or maybe 300 best case, but the pullback to 220, a sustained pullback to like 200 or something like that, you get some FUD about China or AI or whatever. You're I'm not in that setup I like where it's like more room above than below because who knows above. But so yeah, there's a lot of setups like that. It's like the ones that already won that we've been on. Much as I like to trade them and read them, I have to step away from those. And I think that we ourselves want to rotate into safer waters because I don't know about you, but like when everything seems great, I actually get more cautious. And I know it's that corny Warren Buffett quote, but I do look for I maintain a bullish outlook, but I look for safer setups, and um, that's that's what I prefer. Because otherwise, like you get caught in a pullback, and the pullback ends up pulling back farther than the upside I saw, and then you're just kind of stuck there for a while. So that's not where I want to be. But yeah, I'm with you. I am overall bullish, but I think we still look for the laggers and beat up stuff, and that's where we want to be.
Yeah, no, I've said it a million times. It's in a very strong market. It's harder for me because I just it's a check to buy on support and not overspend. And if it's moved and hasn't formed a level, I'm just can't trade it. I mean, there's been a few
Yeah,
exceptions where I like the company, I would invest in it, and the flow's really good. That does happen, but I mean, very very rarely does that. So, but there's too many names in the B's and C's that I absolutely love. Maybe that's because um, I love stocks so much that any company I see it and I'm like, well, let's go look at their ticker and let's look at their share construction. And so I don't know, it's just like a nerd thing for me, right? It's my Pokemon cards. And
yeah,
a guy actually asked me that. He's like, how the hell do you know all this shit about stocks? And I did like kind of think about it, but when I was a kid, like I'd read the sports section and look at the stats because that's how you got them because we didn't have internet. But I would also be sitting on a toilet. I even read on the toilet when I was a kid, um, um, and just read like the tickers and try to figure out who was who. And then when I figured out, oh, Foot Locker had a stock, let's find it. Just out of interest. And I mean, I didn't learn about price action or anything like that, but ticker names have it's been something I've been doing for 30 years and I never really thought about it. So knowing those B's and C's names, like not knowing that what Pitney Bowes was, like
yeah.
that's stuff like that is just yeah. For me, it's the time you put in really helps, but that's gonna pay off right now for me because to me they're household names. Like I was surprised some people don't even know about SoFi. I mean, seriously,
Right, right.
and they think they have a handle on their portfolio. So that was really promising to me. Just like, man, I know every fucking stock, and the guy you meet on the street just doesn't. So, in my mind, wanting to be early is really easy in that situation. Um, back kind of come all the way back around to SPY. I mean, uh, I'm trying to stay big picture here. We still ain't got three candles in a row. This last one was only one red candle in the whole session. So the trend continues there, but the better names are going to be the ones with the on the first chapter of their story and not on book two.
Yeah, absolutely.
Perfect.
Good stuff.
You got anything else? Are you ready to get to work?
Oh, now we'll get to work.
Perfect. Like and subscribe, people. Link somewhere.
Yep.